There was going out the door. She was coming down the stairs.
So I have it plugged into the monitor of that board, but we'll have to see if it's loud enough.
Yeah.
That is Let's let him clear out. Yeah, I would say. Make sure we're not messing with sound stuff.
I just do audio for video. Some artistic talents. Video requires some artistic talents. I just do audio.
I think it depends on the video. This right here is easy because I just gotta make sure I'm watching and what I'm seeing they're safe. I have to add anything, which is always good.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Andrew Watkins. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a worship associate of this congregation, the Unitarian Congregation of Cleveland, which is gathered today on the lands of the Erie, the Kasakia, the Mississauga, the Potawatomi, the Abia, and the Ottawa. It's good to be with you this morning. Welcome. We come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. Welcome. We come here for different reasons. To find community, to seek spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of our bigger questions. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, know that you are welcome here. We especially welcome any guests who are worshiping with us for the first time, either here with us physically or joining us in the cyber world. If you're interested in more information of who we are, today, if you cards in the pew racks inside that you could fill out, and we'd be happy to get back with you as well. We also have a lot of information on our website. So if you go to uucleveland.org, and I know some of you have found us that way, so I hope you continue to find information there. You're out in today. Please take a moment. So if you would join with me in your order of worship, there is the reading of the chalice lighting, and we'll read that together. It's our congregational covenant. We cultivate trust with one another by celebrating differences, honoring boundaries, and offering compassion and care. We listen to each other deeply with curiosity and wonder. We speak for ourselves without need to defend ourselves or persuade. We create safe and brave space for healthy conflict, creativity, and fun. We reconcile through forgiving and making amends when we hurt one another.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Randy Partain. My pronouns are they, them, and I am delighted to be with you in this special outdoor worship service with slightly damp ground. Somebody here said that they made sure that this would happen so that we'd have a refreshed environment. So I hope that we appreciate that. I think that was Frank who made this damp ground happen, but that's okay. I invite you into worship with the words of Florence Caplow today. May our chalice and our gathering here together honor the fullness of the animal realm, furred and hooved, two-legged, four-legged, many-legged, fanged or clawed, gentle and fierce, wild and tame. May we remember that all animals are our relatives, worthy of our care. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. The words are on the insert. You don't have to open a hymnal today, so we'll sing our opening hymn. Which one is it? 1066.
'Please take a seat. So this was the other day for me driving up my street when a neighbor with a dog unleashed, doing some yard work in their front, and I'm driving up and the dog plops down right in the middle of the road, right? And I had one of those immediate thoughts, those immediate frustrations. So mad at the owner. Take care of your dog. Take care of your dog. What are you doing? And that was a real moment of personal rebuke for myself, because I've been doing, with all of us in this congregation this summer, some intentional work around spirituality and nature. And immediately I just jumped to, that dog is her property and she should be taking care of it. And it got me thinking about the way pets are such an extraordinary and really unique insight into the natural world. I mean, when you think about it, a pet is the most face time we ever get with nature. Claudia, I don't know if Claudia is here today. She can tell me, I don't think mushrooms have faces, but pretty much, if we're going to spend time with nature, with a face, it's going to be our pets. We do an animal blessing every year, but we don't necessarily spend this time thinking about our intentional and interconnected relationship with the natural world. And this year we've been able to talk about a whole array of animals. We talked about beavers, we talked about the Yellowstone wolves, we talked about cleaner shrimp, we've talked about bees. And as we've been doing this, I've been thinking about the way that our pets are options to resist that consumer experience that I was having when I was driving up my street, frustrated at why this dog was in the road. You know, because in some ways, our lives are set up to be consumers of our pets. And we also consume so often through our pets. I was shocked to find, because I just looked this up on the internet this morning, but 136.8, 10% increase from the previous year. So we're skyrocketing when it comes to taking care of our pets in this way. But of course, we don't have to relate to our pets in this way. And our pets could be a different kind of a relationship to the natural world and also to one another. And for me, thinking about that, the crux of that relationship might be wrapped up with where that kind of interconnection happens. Because on the one hand, a dog park can be sort of like a chore or an obligation. It's your chance to bring your dog to a place where the dog can touch some grass and meet some other dogs its own size. And often it's like your chance to sit on a bench and scroll through Instagram. But what if it's the other way around and we don't realize it? What if, in fact, a dog park isn't the place for us to take our dogs? What if a dog park is a place our dogs take us? What if our dogs are actually trying to bring us into a more thoughtful interconnectedness with one another? And they do so by getting such absolute gleeful joy by being with one another at the dog park. I'm intentionally sharing this reflection a little bit early because the whole plan, conspiratorially, was to share this before we have a chance to greet one another. Because in our greeting one another time, and then also in our Soul Matters time after the service, I'm hoping we can make a different kind of dog park today. Or let's say pet park. Dogs just get all the credit, but you know, we can bring all the pets that we have. So,
Can I bring my cat?
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that in mind, I'm going to invite all of us to greet our neighbors today, and especially to greet the many furry friends I see at this point, and create a little dog park this morning.
Nice to meet you. I love your shirt. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My name is Stacy. Nice to meet you. Hello to Sharon. She's Bridget. Yeah.
I like that name. It's very nice. Like Bridget Jones' Diary. I love it.
Tuna. all these dogs. Oh, my friends, oh my friends.
We will have a moment in the service later on to pronounce a blessing over the non-human animals we brought today, as well as those that we have stay home that we might want to share with the congregation. If you're joining us online today, I invite you to put any joys or concerns share in the comments down below the video. We place stones in the water to symbolize whatever joys or concerns we want to acknowledge that we carry with us. And a few folks have written some things in the book before the service, so I'll read those now. First, I'm going to put a stone of gratitude because having a couple of weeks away was very refreshing and nourishing for me. And I appreciate all of the people in the community, including the lay pastoral care team and Alan and Pete and Cliff and who was worshiping last week? Greg Nosen and all of the folks that made amazing worship and the care of the congregation possible while I was away. So thank you all for doing your part of that. We also placed a stone of care for Horace Reese, who is recovering from a hospital stay at a rehab center in Brecksville. Not up for calls or visits, the last that I heard, but we will enfold Horace in our love and care. Our hearts and care are also with the family of Laureen Smith, who died peacefully yesterday morning at McGregor. So for Cheryl Evans and all of Laureen's family, our hearts and care are with you during this time of grief and all the other complicated emotions that we experience alongside loss. We also place a stone for David's family, who just experienced a death in the family and is dealing with some ongoing domestic violence. A stone of care and hope for David's family. And a stone of concern and hope for David himself, who is out of work now due to bullying at his previous job, but hopes for new prospects on the horizon. What other joys or concerns do you want to acknowledge that you bring with you into this space? I invite you to come forward and place a stone in the water for anything that you want to acknowledge you're carrying with you today. We place a stone for those joys and concerns shared online today. And a stone to acknowledge that there may be some things that we're carrying in our heart that we aren't quite ready to make public or give voice to.
Our offering recipient today is Neighborhood Pets. Pets are family members, and it's hard to be away from them. Zoe the cat's owner, Aranya, was recently released from the hospital and headed to inpatient physical therapy. She didn't want to be separated from Zoe any longer. Luckily, she was able to find a place that would let her bring Zoe, but Zoe needed her vaccines to be updated. This is where Neighborhood Pets came in. They scheduled Zoe to see one of their volunteer veterinarians. Because Aranya wasn't able to bring Zoe to her appointment, her neighbor volunteered to help out. The only problem, the neighbor didn't have access to reliable transportation. Thanks to a generous donor, Neighborhood Pets was able to schedule an Uber pet to bring them to the appointment and got the care she needed. This enabled Zoe and Aranya to be together while Aranya gets the care she needs as well. I ask today that you support the work of Neighborhood Pets in helping the lives of Zoe, Aranya, and countless other pets and their owners by giving as you are able, through placing your offering in the plate as it is passed around this morning, or through Cash App with the cash tag $UUCC 44122. And be sure to put plate in the 4 line of the app.
I used to have this CD of music that had nature sounds in the background, and then the music would come in with the birds still going on in the background and all of that kind of stuff. And I just think that this is an amazing chorus of accompaniment that we have today, along with Karin's expertise. We're cycling through several sung offertory responses, and so this week we're singing Love Will Guide Us, just the first verse. It's on the blue insert of service, and I just invite you to sing together the first verse of Love Will Guide Us.
Our reading today is The Blessing of the Animals by Thomas Rhodes. You birds of the air, hawk, sparrow, and laughing jay, you embody freedom itself. Delight us with your song, astound us with your feats of migration. Grant us your perspective, for too often our horizon is limited and we are blind to the action. You worms of the earth, beetles, spiders, and centipedes, you are the essential but oft-forgotten strand in nature's web. Through you, the cycle is complete. Through you, new life arises from old. Remind us of our humility. For the wheel of life does not turn around us. We are not the axle, but merely spokes, no less than unseen, unknown, and shunned companions, such as yourselves. You creatures of the field and wood, marsh and desert, bear and bison, skunk and squirrel, weasel and wolf, too often we have sacrificed your homes in the name of progress, clear-cutting the forest to fill our desire, or covering the earth with tarmac, cement, and suburban lawns. Pray that we remember that the earth was not given for our needs alone, and what we do to you, we eventually do to ourselves. You animals of the farm, horse and cow, pig and fowl, willingly or not, you give your very lives for us. Your milk for our nourishment, your flesh for our sustenance. Yet too often we forget that the meat on our tables was once as alive as we are. Forgive our willful ignorance and remind us constantly to give thanks to your sacrifice. You dearest companions in our lives, dogs and cats, hamsters and goldfish, you who are with us today and you who always will be present in our memories. You have enriched our lives in so many ways, endured our shortcomings with calm acceptance, taught us something of our humanity, taught us how to love. May we hold you in our hearts throughout the days of our lives.
One of the things that I love about living in this kind of space is the animals that we get to see just on a regular basis. We've got all kinds of birds in our yard. You know, we had baby robins hatching in a nest right outside our front window. That was the entertainment we needed for about a week and a half. We went for a walk in a park over in Cleveland Heights at dusk the other day, and throughout the entire day, we saw 16 deer. We see animals all the time. And when we think about a blessing of the animals, you know, there's kind of a double entendre. We can bless the animals around us. The animals around us also bless us. There is a blessing we receive from animals. And one of the lessons that I keep learning over and over again is that animals know how to be what they are. The deer do not try to be robins. They are really, really good at being deer. And the earthworms don't try to be deer. The earthworms are really, really good at being earthworms, and they don't try to be anything else. And there are so many times when we try to be something different than what we are. And all around us, there are examples of nature just being what it is, unapologetically, authentically what it is. Some animals also cast vision, I have learned, which is a really strange thing to think about. They sort of dream about what they are going to experience in the future. There's been some research at Yale because mammals open their eyes and suddenly take in the world around them. They haven't known what seeing is, and yet, as soon as they open their eyes, they're taking in this visual world. And they've discovered through some research that mammals dream about the visual world before they ever see it. Imaging brains of mice before their eyes open, a team at Yale found that retinal waves flow in a pattern that mimics activity as if the animals are moving forward through the environment. They're dreaming something they haven't seen yet, just as if they're seeing it. Early dreamlike activity allows a mouse to anticipate what it will experience when it opens its eyes for the first time. Isn't that amazing? I wonder how often we are willing to dream about something that we cannot see just yet. And it's easy for us to make some concessions for animals because we think they do all of this stuff without learning how to do it. It's just on instinct. Deer just know how to be deer. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to learn it. They just know how to be deer. And yet we're wrong when we say that. Because more and more we learn that animals figure out how to be who they are through social learning. Carl Safina has written a lot about this. Animals know how to be who they are through cultural learning. Kittens who watch their mothers become better hunters and faster hunters than kittens who have to figure it out on their own what their claws and teeth are for. Social learning. Animals learn how to identify their family and the specialized behaviors and customs of their species through watching adults of their species, their own family, their own kin, their own tribe, their own herd. Orcas and lions and wolves learn hunting techniques through cultural learning. Elephants learn who their family. For instance, there's a mallard duck who was orphaned and was raised by loons. Instead of doing mallardy kind of things, this duckling did loony kinds of things, which sounds like it's an insult, but it really isn't. Because mallard ducks do not ride on their parents' backs, but loons do. And this duckling did. Mallard ducks do not dive underwater, but loons do. And this mallard duckling did because it was learning from loons. Mallard ducks do not eat fish, but this mallard duckling did because loons eat fish and it learned from these loon parents. And I wonder if this duck has ducklings, will they ride on their parents' backs and dive underwater and eat fish? And I don't know. But what I do know is that this duckling learned how to be who it became through learning from the bird around it, not ducks, but those that it accepted as parents and family and teachers and mentors. So it's not purely instinctive. I'll give you one more example. There's a fella, Ben Killam, who is an expert at rewilding orphaned bears. He has rewilded hundreds of orphaned bears. He has rewilded hundreds of orphaned bear cubs. And typically, a mother bear will introduce a cub to what it needs to survive, what to eat, how to stay safe, all of those kinds of things. But when you go walking in the woods with these orphaned cubs, what you see, according to Ben Killam, is they are wanting information. They are looking around and looking back at the person that they trust to try to figure out what's safe. And so, because some plants are poisonous, Ben will find healthy plants for them, and like red clover, if a bear cub has never experienced red clover, Ben gets some red clover and puts it in his mouth and chews it a little bit, and the curious cub will come up and sniff it. What are you eating? What are you eating? And then it will go and find some red clover and start eating it. But it doesn't know to do that until someone teaches it. In a culture, you are who you are because of who you're with. And because of who you're with, you do what you do the way that you do it. We forget sometimes that we're animals too. We also learn by cultural learning. We figure out who to be by watching and learning from the people around us. And sometimes the lessons that we get are not particularly healthy. Sometimes the people around us tell us who we need to be in a way that doesn't actually serve our well-being. We human beings are not as kind and helpful to one another as some animal families are when they are just trying to teach one another how to survive and carry on the species well. We have a lot of bacteria that we pile onto one another sometimes. Your community has already figured out what's safe and what to avoid, how to sing and how to dance and how to be in community. It pays to do the done thing. We get acceptance that way. We get belonging. We get safety. If you go it alone, you might have to learn the hard way what's poisonous, what's dangerous, or what isn't particularly seductive if you want to carry on the species. It's highly practical for individuals to rely on social learning to get the tried and true methods. And in one sense, it's the opposite of intelligence, because social learning is mindlessly following the herd. That's what we're doing when we involve social learning. We are not really thinking for ourselves. And we have a particularly strong motivation as human beings to copy others rather than using our own knowledge. To the point that human children, if they learn a process, will include unnecessary steps, whereas other primates will not. If I were to teach a child how to open a jar and tap on the lid as a part of opening the jar, even though I don't really have to, that child's instinct, if he's like or she is like most human beings, will tap on the lid while opening the jar because that's the process. That's how you do it. Whereas a lot of chimpanzees will figure out, you're trying to get in the jar, right? Let's just open the jar. But we are wired for social learning, like a lot of animals. Here's the incredible thing about culture, though. Culture doesn't form unless somebody breaks the pattern. When an orca starts to realize that the hunting grounds are starting to get a little bit sparse, they can't just follow the old pattern because their species will die out if the food is getting sparse. And so somebody has to break the pattern and do something new that enables the species to survive and then teach it to others. And it's the same thing with people. If we want to thrive, we have to have innovators who look around and say, we need to break this pattern and do something that leads us toward better thriving. And then we need to teach others about it because that's how we learn to do new things. Conformity is fine when the world is stable and justice reigns. It's great to just keep doing what we're doing. But we are living in a world that is changing very quickly. Crows have learned to drop nuts on the road at red lights, not just in the middle of a busy street, but they'll drop nuts in the road at a red light so that the cars will come by, crack open the nuts, and then they'll stop at the red light and the crows can swoop in and get what they need to eat. They've learned how to do this, do new things in response to the world that we see around us and the world that we might envision that we cannot see yet. So I invite us to consider, what culture are we creating? What social learning are we adopting and imitating without really thinking about it? And what are we innovating so that we can co-create a world that we dream into existence? We know how to be what we are. We know how to be what we are. How do we learn from one another who we are becoming? May we ponder this with one another in the days and weeks ahead. But for now, in gratitude, I invite you to turn to the blessing for all in our orders of service. Since we have learned so much from our non-human animal companions and friends and those who share our lives and the world around us, we will pronounce this blessing together. And if you have a furry friend nearby that you would like to lay hands on, if their human companion says it's safe, I invite you to do so. And if there's a particular non-human animal in your life that's at home somewhere that didn't get to join you today, I invite you to hold them in your heart. Or if there's just some other animal in your neighborhood that you are greatly fond of, I invite you to bring them to mind now as we pronounce this blessing together. Our furry, feathered, and scaled friends, we welcome you. We welcome you. You come from the same life force of creation that we do, and we greet you as siblings. May your days be filled with love and whatever else you may desire. May your tummy always be full, and may you always have a place to rest. May you have many days of love with your human friends. May you play together and work together in gentleness and respect for one another. May your life be blessed. And if you would indulge me for a moment, I invite you to imagine that if they could, your animal friends and companions might reflect to you. And I know in your head they do not have my voice. Permit me to speak for them, to you all. You come from the same life force of creation that we all do. May your days be filled with love and whatever else you desire. May your tummy always be full, and may you always have a place to rest. May you have many days of love with your human and non-human friends. May you play together and work together in gentleness and respect for one another. May your life be blessed. Amen. We're going to sing together A Place in the Choir. The words are on the other side of your blue insert.
Some sing low, some sing high, some sing out loud. Listen to the bass, it's the one on the bottom, and the low bar pumps, and the middle of the bottom, and the drums and drums to the big beat, and the old guy just go blue. Drums to the big beat, and the old guy just go blue. Get ready for the monkey, and the old coyote calls. He's got a place in the fire. Some say low, some say higher. Say out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands to the ball, and they got now. Listen to the top where the little birds sing on the radio. The high notes ring on the old heart for everything. The jaybird disagrees. Singing in the nighttime, singing in the day. The little waxen is on his way. Also, ain't got much to say. And the porcupine talks himself. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing high, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands and pause or anything they got now. It's a simple song of living sung everywhere by the ox and the fox and the grizzly bear, the grumpy alligator and the hawk above, the sly raccoon and the turtle dove. All kinds God's Spirit got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing high, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, all ring in the cup there.
Thank you for that. I have a couple of announcements today before we have our benediction and some more time with the non-human friends we brought with us today. The first thing is there's a picnic at West Shore UU, one of our sibling congregations, today from 1 to 3. And West Shore is providing hot dogs, both vegan and other. And Southwest is providing some gluten-free buns. And you are welcome to bring a dish to share if you would like, or just show up. There is going to be plenty to go around. It's a family-friendly event with games, and there'll be a building and grounds tour of West Shore, and you can enter the building from the east side parking lot entrance. Is there some kind of carpooling thing going on with that, or is Lori? See Lori, who's waving over here, if you want to go but aren't sure how you're going to get there. We have Journey Spiritual Development Small Group starting on September 21st. There is still time to register, but we're getting close to the limit to that. So if you've been sitting on the fence, please let me know if you want to be a part of that Spiritual Development Small Group. This is also the last chance to pre-order a congregational t-shirt with Side with Love on the front and the name of our congregation in the back, which Suzanne Zilber is modeling. See Suzanne if you want a t-shirt, because she's going to be start off with some Ask Us Anything so that you can just tune in. As we go forth from this place, may we be attuned to the world around us, and may we be conscious of what we are learning so that we might carry forward lessons of grace and health and justice and peace. Blessed be.
Please join me in reciting the words of the chalice extinguishing found on the back of your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I think it was well.